My first day, well, the very first day, of course, was the day I came for an interview. And it was the beginning of May in 1976. And I came from England and got picked up at the airport, which I thought was some amazing thing, that people would pick you up at the airport and bring you here. And for me, the really interesting thing was that I had my interview with Wolf Haefele, who had one of the historical offices. It was a beautiful May morning. He had the windows opened. I came into the office and a pheasant walked past the window and he just said, "So what else would you want?" And that was my introduction.
I arrived here, it was kind of, the institute was kind of deserted, and I have to live for the first couple of days in Haus Rosenauer in Baden. It was a weekend, and the weekend there was, nobody was there. I was alone in the Haus Rosenauer, nothing to eat, no shillings with me. So I was starving on my first day here in Austria, actually. But then the week after, I was it was like a dream for me being at IIASA, because coming from a national research institution in a university, everything was simple and plain, and here at IIASA it was a castle, and the support we got then from Sylva Newton Family Services was incredible. She guided me through the institute, introduced me to all the people, and so I felt really welcome.
The whole idea of spending your weekends going hiking with the other young people who were also alone here or getting to know people. And there were masses of things organized, sometimes spontaneously, sometimes with quite a lot of sort of background organization, but a lot going on.
I was first working in solar energy research. She was climate, and the connecting element was solar radiation. And I had to do a lot of solar radiation studies, and Jill helped me with understanding strange things like albedo and so on. And so we had a lot of contacts and talked a lot, and this lasted now for more than 30 years.
Right. I was supposed to not only study how climate change takes place because of the use of fossil fuels, but also because of the use of nuclear energy and solar energy.
Okay, so what year was this?
76 to 78.
Okay, because this is quite a long time before people generally associate the ideas of climate change. And you were working
Absolutely.
on this right in this.
That's why I brought my book. We published from IIASA in 1978 a book, Carbon Dioxide, Climate and Society. And if you read things now, you say, good heavens, amazing how far ahead we were in the 1970s here at IIASA discussing the climate change issue, but also on not just emissions from energy use, but what impacts it could have on society, what policy options are available, what the risks and opportunities are. It's all in there from 1978. For us in the climate community, it was anyway an international community, so it wasn't much new for me in doing that, but the opportunities to meet some of the big players internationally was fantastic.
At that time, the Iron Curtain was very close to IIASA, and it was absolutely interesting to talk to the Russian colleagues and to start collaborating with them and to exchange data, and which wasn't possible before. I did my PhD in nuclear physics, and this was really a Western field, and nobody talked to the Eastern side at that time, and so it was absolutely new for me. And in the first few weeks, I had to learn a lot and how to share things, and it surprised me after a while that the Russians or the Eastern people were very good at modeling, and there was a clear sharing of work. The Russians, Eastern people, good at modeling, and we were good at technology and providing data as well in a structured way. So I learned that cooperating beyond borders and barriers, that's something absolutely necessary, and that's still valid for today. There was one very scary event at IIASA, and it shows that when you work hard, it can be dangerous. I was working, as many other colleagues, on a weekend here in the Schloss, and at that time there was a guard walking around and watching out for burglaries and so on. And when I came out of my office, the solar office, near the elevator over there in the background, in the back, and the guard was standing in front of the office and totally shocked and pulled his gun and pointed at my tummy, and I was nearly shot at that time. It was a little pale, shivering man who was very scared, and I think I just made it at that time. So the lesson is, when you work hard, you have some risks.